Hello, everyone. My name is Gray, and thank you for joining me as I go through the book of Psalms. Today, we are looking in chapter 27, one of my favorite chapters. It's one of those chapters. If you've read it, especially the first three verses, they they lift you up, they encourage you. It's many a times when I felt down and I come to this and I start reading, the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I be? The Lord is the strength of my life. But the time you finish and come to the verse 3, you are encouraged. You no longer are afraid of the future because you just told yourself who God is. And that's what David is doing in this. But he does more. He does more. The first three verses, yes, he's talking about, I'm not going to be afraid. It's sort of like he's setting up his attitude of the day. You know, fear will always come with us. There's so many things that will come against us. But if we have this in mind, who is by our side? I remember Psalm 16, verse 8. He says this as well. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I will not fear what will man do to me. That's the attitude. You're telling yourself that, you know what? So many things will come to me in life. But because I know who I am, I know who walks before me. I love that song, Whom Shall I Fear? And this is what it's all about, because I know who is with me. I know who my God is. Then I will not fear. Though the enemies come against me, so though an army surround me, I pray that, you know what, let's get that to be our attitude. So getting back to this, the first three verses talks about how he's not afraid because he knows who God is. But from verse 4 onwards, it's like he's setting his, how shall I say, he's setting the stage of why he is not afraid. He says, one thing that I desire, that will I seek after, that I might dwell in the presence of the Lord all the days of my life. He wants to be with God. He desires to be God, brings to mind that we seek God first and everything else will come to us. Sometimes we seek the protection without even seeking who brings us the protection. So let's always look to God. Let's all delight in God's presence, just the way David is saying that here. He says he wants to delight in God's perfections, wants to sit in and just listen and hear and meditate on God's word. One of the Psalms that we've gone through, it says he loves his word much more than pure gold. You see, if you love God's words, if you love being in his presence, then you know that he will always with you. And then fear is not always an issue. I'm not saying that you won't be afraid. You will be afraid, but it will be fleeting because you remember who's behind you, who's beside you, and who has already gone before you. Verse 5 just sort of like sums this out. He says, he will conceal me when the trouble comes. He will hide me in his sanctuary. He will place me out of reach on a high rock. But it doesn't end there. He says, okay, so when trouble comes, I know God is going to save me. But then verse 6, and then I'll hold my head high above my enemies who surround him. And I sanctuary offer sacrifices of shouts and joy. When you see your enemies coming through, you're not going to be afraid, but you're going to stand up and start praising and worshiping and exalting God. We've seen David did do this so many times where he starts crying out to God, but he stops halfway, more feels like halfway, and then starts praising God even before he sees the thing. Psalm 27 is that, sort of like brings it over, first setting his attitude on who God is and saying why he does it, because he desires God, because he knows when he's with God, he is safe. But I love verse 11 and 12. I just want to share this with you. Okay, no, not 11 and 12, but 13 and 14. He says, yet I am confident. Listen, I will see the Lord's goodness while I'm here in the land of the living. That's it. I'm confident in this, that he will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. And he says, wait on the Lord. Wait patiently. Be brave and courageous. What are you going through? Is it fear that's dominating you? Psalm 27 is a place where you have to go in and meditate. Meditate on how God will always protect and be with you, but also meditate on how you ought to be close to him, with him, and in him. Because when you are there, then you know you will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. When you're there, then you will patiently wait for God. Be of good courage, be brave, and then you know you'll definitely see God's goodness in the land of the living. That's my wish. I hope that's your wish. But remember, there's nothing to be afraid of because God is with you. God bless you.